today. Okay. And so, what did we cover? The differences between and sorry, not and Ansible, okay, and then Chef, okay, and what else? The architecture part, and then installation, and other thing was some ad hoc commands. Okay, so we were going to these topics in our previous session, and in today's session, we'll start with the group playbooks. So we'll look at different playbooks in today's session. Okay.
Hello, Krishna.
Yes, who is this?
Yeah, is it Chandra here?
Yeah.
I think we need to discuss about ad hoc commands.
What do you want?
Yesterday
We
only.
discussed it.
Hello.
Yeah.
Only what is the purpose of the ad hoc commands? You explained yesterday. So what are the
Yeah.
commands? The variation of the types of commands we need to discuss.
We have discussed them.
No, only what are the functionality of the command? I mean, ad hoc commands. What is the functionality? You told me that.
We have discussed. We have executed some commands as well.
Only one of them command we have executed.
Yeah.
Not
Did
for
you
all.
try from the your end? So I've given them as a scenario,
No,
as a
not yet.
task. Okay, just try them. If you don't get it, let me know. Okay.
Okay.
Send me a screenshot of the error, whatever you get. Okay. Right. So let's try with start with playbooks today. See, what is the playbook? So the playbook same as our cookbooks, right? So playbook contains some set of instructions, the same way here. But in Ansible, we follow the YAML scripts. We need to write the cookbooks in YAML scripts. Okay, right. So as I said, YAML again understands the Python scripts internally. Okay. No, but see, Ansible is kind of a very sensitive script. Okay, I mean YAML script is very sensitive, so you need to follow the indents. So the spaces, okay, and every colon, commas, everything is very important in Ansible. Okay, but whereas in cookbooks, whether you give one space or two spaces, that does not matter. Okay, but here the space, every colon, every comma, is very important. Okay, right. So that's why YAML is very sensitive. Now, let's look into some playbooks. How do we write playbooks? So playbook contains some three main sections. One is the target section, other one is the variable section, and then the task section. So first we'll try to understand what is a playbook. Okay, then in that we'll see what is how the playbook, what are the sections, and how do we write the playbooks. Okay, right. See, always playbook extension should start with, end with, extension should be YAML. Okay. For example, I just want to write some YAML file. Okay. Some file name. Okay. Dot YAML. So this is how you need to open, or you need to give an extension of a playbook. Okay. Now, so here now we are in the playbook. So how do we start with playbook? Always the playbook starts with 3 columns. So 3 hyphens. Playbook always starts with 3 hyphens, and then enter. So here, one space, colon, and space. Okay, space, colon, and space. And here we need to mention first, as we discussed, as I said, okay, always it contains 3 parts. So one is the target section. So that is the first section. You need to define the target section first. Okay, here, how do you define a target section is host. What do you mean by target section? Firstly, the target section means on which client you want to run this playbook. That is what you mean by target. Okay. So I want to run this playbook on a host. Host name is some host IP address is so and so. That is the target section. Okay. And then enter. And in the same line, mention the user is root. Okay. User is root. Okay. And here the spaces are important. As I said, the space is important. User is root. What do you mean by, why do we need to log in as a root user, connect to that machine as a root user is, it is because of, okay, the we need to connect to that machine. So why? The reason is we may have to install some packages, we may have to create some files. So obviously you need to have some root user permissions. So I'm logging into that machine as a root user. Okay. Now, so next comes the variable section, variable part. Okay. Now, so what is this variable section is, I'll come back to this section later on. As of now, not now. I mean, once I finish the this part, I'll come back to that part. Okay. Now, so we are done with the variable section, target section. So I'll come back to the variable section. Then task. So what do you mean by task? So task is nothing but that is action what you want to perform on the client machine. The action you want to perform on a client machine. Okay. So how do you define a task? Is task. Okay, and then and try to observe the indents here. Okay, the task names is copy. See, yeah. So name and name. So name of a task first, just some name. There is no naming conventions here. Some copy. Okay, copy file. Some name of a task. Right. Look at here. Observe the indents here. Look at here indents. The task, it's again the same line as the variables and so and so. But here the name of the task is starts with hyphen and then space. He does a space and then the name of a task. Okay. And do not use tabs in Ansible. The tab, not use tab. If you have 5 spaces, do not use tab button. Use space button. 5 spaces. Okay. Now, so what is our task? Copy task. Okay. So what do you want to copy? You need to mention the source as well as the destination to copy. Okay. Right. Now look at here. So indent is, look at here, I'm starting this after C. That means after one space. Look at here. Now. So first mention the source. So where is your source is? Okay. Where is your source? The source is some location. Okay. Whatever there is a location, some etc or whatever, some file. Okay. Then obviously we need to mention, what is we need to mention? The destination. Okay. So source and then destination. So mention destination. Where do you want to copy this file to? The same location or whatever on your client machine, on your agent machine. Okay. And then see destination, and then some content of the file, some content of the file. Okay. But here one thing, for example, I'm just copying a file, right? This is my source. I'm copying a file, right? So I'm copying this file. I'm copying. This is my source and this is my destination, right? Now, so in the document, what I have mentioned is copy, okay, destination, and then content. But did I mention the source in here? There's no source, right? Okay. But here I mentioned the source, right? So if you mention the source and the source from this file, from this location, the file will be copied to the destination. But what if I mention the, if I don't mention the source? If I don't mention the source, what is the case? What is going to happen? Some file one dot text. Okay. So now we don't have a source, right? We don't have source. We just mention the destination. Okay. We just mention the destination. Now, so if you just mention the destination, okay, and you don't mention, we have not mentioned the source, right? We have just mentioned the destination. Then what is going to happen on the client machine, on the destination location, whatever you mentioned within the file, the file will be created. Okay, the file will be created. Okay, but if you mention the source, the file will be copied. If you don't mention the source, the file will be created. Okay, so that's the difference here. Okay, so anyway, we'll look into both examples. Right. So now the file will be created in so and so location. The file will be created, and the content is, so obviously we need to mention the content of the file. If you want to mention, okay, if you want to mention the content, mention the content first. So how do you mention the content? The attribute is, content is the attribute. So you look at here. Now still we are under the which section? The task section. See, the first thing first is, this is the target section. That's the target section, and this is the task section. Okay, this is the task section, and this is the variable section. That's a variable section. So always you can have these three sections in your clip, but variable section is not mandatory. Okay, we use it only very some scenarios. Okay, but always target section and then the task section. Okay, so content. So what is the content? The content of the file is, you need to mention the content, right? But how I'm going to mention the content is, I'm not going to mention the content, just some text content. So instead I want to use a variable. So firstly, before that, I define a variable here first. I define a variable. Okay, some variable name is some welcome content, welcome text, some welcome text. Okay, right. So what is this? This is a variable name. That's a variable name. Okay, and obviously, see, what is the purpose of a variable? Define once and then use it later on, any times, any number of times. The same way here, I'm defining a variable first, and obviously variable needs to have some value, right? Whereas needs to assign some value. So what is the value of this? How do we assign a value is here. So variable name is welcome text. That should be in the next line, and then the content. Okay, value of the variable. So variables. So hello world.
For like purpose, for what purpose you are copying this, you need to do.
Actually here, see, I just defined a variable, right? I just defined a variable. Now I want to call that variable. I want to call that variable now. So where do I want to call that variable? Within the task. Which task? The copy task, copy module. Okay, and then attribute is content. Here I just call the variable. What is the variable name? Welcome text. I want to call that variable now. Okay, so how do we call that variable is with the help of within the curly braces. Variable name is text. Right. Now what happens when you run this playbook? What happens?
Copying the, if you create the
Yes, sir. So the file will. Okay. So here what happens is the file will be created on so and so destination location. The destination location, the file will be created and content would be so and so. Okay. So we have three sections here, as I said. One is the host section, sorry, the target section. Okay, and the other one is the variable section. Next is the task section. Always remember, we need to follow this particular syntaxes and then the flow. So first is very target section and then the task section. Okay. So as of now, we are just looking into one task, which is a copy task. Okay, but here, the though the task is copy, though the copy task is a copy, and then but here I'm creating a file. Okay, but if you want to create a file, you can use source. Sorry, if you want to copy a file, you can use source attribute as well. Okay. So how do you run a playbook? Ansible playbook and then playbook name. Ansible playbook and then playbook name. Okay. This is how simply we write the playbooks. Should be out of it. Okay. So let's run this playbook first. So what is the home directory of Ansible? etc Ansible, right? Now, I think this is a playbook, I guess. Let me. Okay. So look at here. So first is always the playbook starts with three icons. Okay, and then here there's a space